Alright, welcome viewers. What we have here on the board is quadratic expression, and we want to look at factorization of quadratic expression, how to factorize quadratic expression. But before then, I will need to express you to the meaning of quadratic expression. When is an expression said to be a quadratic expression? An expression is said to be a quadratic expression if it is, number one, a what? 3 times expression. It is always 3 times expression, and then with highest power of its variable being 2. All right. The 3-term expression is called trinomial. Right. So now the highest power of its variable is what? Is 2. The highest power of its variable is 2, and the expression is 3-term expression. So you always have a 3-term expression. You can have a 3-term expression of this form. What you notice here is there are 3 times expression, and the variable here is x, and the highest power, or the variable carries power 2. All right, that is the highest. Here the power is 1, and here the power is 0. Okay, the highest power of the variable is what? Is 2. So that is what we mean by quadratic expression. So today we're going to look at the factorization of quadratic expression. How do we factorize quadratic expression? It's very, very important. And then in order for you to factorize any quadratic expression, you have to also understand that every quadratic expression has a standard form, right? Every quadratic expression has a standard form. The standard form of quadratic expression is ax squared plus bx plus c, all right? Where this a is for the coefficient. For example, I give an example here. All right, so this a represent whatever that is the coefficient of what? Of x squared, and the b coefficient of x, and c a constant. So this is the standard form of every quadratic word expression. But this quadratic expression can come in different form. Aside from the standard form, it will still take the standard form, then in different form because of the sign. Okay, so we want to consider it step by step. We are going to take the quadratic expression that will actually come in this form. For every quadratic expression, let's say quadratic expression of form ax squared plus bx plus c. All right. To factorize this, we will have to understand some properties of any quadratic expression of this form. So what we will do is that we'll take it step by step, and then as we are going, I will explain most of those properties. Let's look at this equation. For example, you are given this as an example. Let's say this is our example 1, and you are asked to factorize 2x squared plus 4x plus 2. You are asked to factorize. So what you do is that for the first step, you multiply the first term by, all right, but this one is also positive, all right? So what are you going to get? You're going to say 2x squared times this, and you're going to get plus 4x squared. All right. Now, what you notice about this quadratic expression is that everything is positive. Everything is positive. So in the next step, what we're supposed to have in the next step is find, this is what you have gotten. This is what you have gotten. All right, so what you have to do is that find two factors of what you have gotten here whose sum is the middle term. All right, so the middle term here is 4x, and what you got was 4x squared. So you have to find two factors of 4x squared, that is positive 4x squared, whose sum is what? 4x. So what you do is, now if we are, for example, creating a table for ourselves, and then let's create the factors table. So you have factors of 4x squared, and then sum of factors. Okay, if you're asked to find factors of 4, you know that, or to write 4 as a product of its factors, you always have maybe something like this. 1 times 4 is still 4. So we can take that one. If you multiply 1, like trying to say 1x, which not necessary to put 1, plus 4 times 4x, it will give us 4x squared. So you have a 4x. Now, but if you add them together, if you are added together, that is to say 4x plus x or x plus 4x, the sum here will be 4x. But there's something we have to notice here. Whenever we are dealing with this form of quadratic expression, what happened here is that since the product was positive, the two factors are all positive. The factors are all positive. Please, for the start, you make sure that you indicate this. The factors are positive. So, but we are looking for a factor, two factors that will give us, whose sum is 4x, not 5x. So this one has not given us 4x, what we are looking for. So we'll still look for other factors of 4x squared. So you can also see that if you multiply 2x and 2x together, and you notice, okay, it's not the same. So if you multiply 2x and 2x together, you are going to have 4x squared, because x times x is x squared. 2 times 2 is 4. Then when you add them together, you will have what? 4x. And then you have gotten what you are looking for, right? Now, since you have gotten what you're looking for, the next step is that you're going to replace the middle term with the two factors. So replace plus 4x, which is the middle term, in the original expression with plus 2x plus 2x. All right? Replace plus what? 4x in the original expression with what? Plus 2x plus 2x. So you go back to the original expression. You see this? So you replace 4x in the original expression with 2x plus 2x and then plus 2. So now it's very easy. We can now factorize. We will now factorize by what? By grouping, in grouped. So we take the first two, take then the last two, then we factorize them. So we call this step factorize by grouping. Factorize by grouping. So between these 2x squared and 2x, what do you think is common? You see that 2 can divide into 2x squared, and 2 can also divide into 2x, as well as x can divide into 2x squared, and what? X can also divide into 2x. So what is common here is 2x. So I want to show you something. Now, whenever you bring out the common factor, you divide, for you to know what will remain, you divide the term, each of the term, with the common factor. All right, the common factor is 2x. So you have to divide each of them by the common what? Factor. So what is common here? You see that 2 can divide into 2x and 2 can divide into 2. So you bring it out and then divide each of them by 2. So what you have to do now is 2 cancel 2. All right. Now x squared, the power tells how many places a term multiply itself. For example, this x squared, this x that is down, this 2 is showing us that this x down multiply itself 2 places. All right. So if you divide it by x, and then this will be x multiply itself 2 places divided by x, and then you are going to have x cancel x, and it will be 1 place of x that will be left. So you have this, right? So the same thing here, you have here cancel here. When you have same thing canceling each other, you have 1. So the next one is over here, you have x, the same thing are canceling each other, so you have this. Now, and you also notice this, that over here, something is also common. And what is common? X plus 1 and x plus 1. Remember, one thing is that if you are doing your factorization very well, the bracket will always be the same. So since the bracket is the same, we factor it out, so we bring it out. Remember our normal procedure, for us to know what will be left inside, we have to divide by whatever we have brought outside. So you have here, okay, so you now have x plus 1. Now in another bracket, this cancel here, you have 2x, this cancel here, and you have 2. All right. So for now, please, this is not just the final answer, but for now, we'll keep the answer here. As we move on, we are going to factor out completely. Okay, let me just show you here. Over here, since 2 is common, you see, 2 is common here, 2 is here. So if you factor 2 out, there's 2x plus 2. If you factor 2 out, you're going to have divide by 2, and then 2 is out. Then you're going to have what? X what? Plus 1. And then what you will be having is x plus 1, 2 is outside, x plus 1. So you keep your answer that way.